Hogyan szerveződik a faj és a fehost a Földön? Ez a videó a Slider 12. rész első műhelyben. A Slider 12 part 1 workshopban megtudtuk, hogy a sötét virág fel fog ébredni azokban az emberekben, akiknek a sötét virág története egy másik idővonalról származik. Még nem tudtuk, hogy a sötét virág valójában megfordította az ibolya pajzsot 2010-ben, a zöld pajzsot 2011-ben. A 12. csúszka workshop második részében megtudtuk, hogy a pajzsot 2010-ben és 2011-ben visszafordították. A csúszka 12. rész első workshopján a pajzs konfigurációja arról szól, hogyan lehet lehorgonyozni a 7-es plázma híd áramot. A 7-es plázma áram a 13 WAU frekvenciáról szól, az aden kulcs átviteléről, a plázmatest aktiválásának kiváltása a PIM emberekben, a plázma aktiválás kiváltása az 1.728.768 PIM-ben és a plázma befagyasztása a PIM-ben azok, akiknek sötét virág története van egy másik idővonalról, akiknél a sötét virág 2009 óta újra felébredt, a plázma befagyasztása meg fogja állítani a sötét virág további növekedését a lótuszukban. A 12. csúszka második részének workshopján megtudtuk, hogy a pajzsot visszafordítják a sötét virág folyamatos növekedése miatt, és nem áll meg végül 2012. május 27-30-án lekapcsolják az akvareion hostot és a Földet a visszafordító plázma idővonalba zárják. 15 plázma híd áramra kell frissítenünk, hogy 2012. április 9-én elhozzuk az alhumpra pajzsot, és a Földet a szerves plázma idővonalba zárjuk, mielőtt az akvareion hostot 2012. májusában lekapcsolják. Megtörtént a 15 plázma híd áramra való frissítés, a Földet a természetes plázma idővonalba zártuk, mielőtt a Földet a 2012. május 27-30-i események után a fordított plázma idővonalba zárták. 1.728.768 PIM született emberünk van közvetlenül a Földön inkarnálódott, akik a hajatei valóságból, belső teremtési valóság, származnak a faj és a fehost küldetésért, és hogy a bukott PIM-et visszavezessék a PIM családba. Ezeken kívül vannak bukott PIM-jeink is, akik elbuktak a Bórkha Eckasha 8-ban megnyitott krisztálvonalkamrában, általában fehér sárkány, zöld sárkány, vörös sárkány, a Földön inkarnálódtak, hogy fogadják a host frekvenciát az 1.728.768 pajzsból, hogy igazodhassanak a krisztikus bukás útjához és a lépés visszafelé útjához. Ezeknek a bukott PIM-eknek 2009 óta újra felébredt a sötét viráguk, ami a hamis 333-as igazodásba zárta őket, ami kihúzta őket a krisztikus bukás útja, lépés, visszafelé útja. Igazodásból később a pajzsuk 2/3 ismét a krisztikus bukás, lépés, visszafelé útjára húzták vissza, a pajzsuk január 3-a még mindig a hamis 333-as igazodásban van. 3.33 kiigazítás. A természetes űröpor sors, az emlékek elvesznek, amikor hazaérnek. Krisztikus fallösvény és steppbekösvény. A krisztikus űröpor sors, az emlékek nem vesznek el, amikor hazaérsz. Fataele követni fogja a PIM-eket, akiknek sötét virág története van egy másik idővonalról az idővonalra, hogy lassan kimerítsék a kvantumukat, a testüket arra használják, hogy fordított plázmasugarat futtassanak a hálózatra, hogy felülbírálják a krisztikus idővonalat, így a bolygót a hamis fordított plázma idővonalukba zárhatják. Ez a Fataele terve, és a Fataele már sok különböző idővonalon csinálta ezt a fajta játékot, és ugyanezt a játékot akarták csinálni a mi idővonalunkon, de nem sikerült. Amikor a PIM szerződést aktiválásra hívták, Yoshioden át fog menni egy folyamaton, amit úgy hívnak, hogy DNS kód keveredése. Yoshinak a Földön a születéskor megnyílt a krisztaline kamrája, Yoshi átmegy a függőleges DNS keveredési kód folyamaton Jadennel a hajatei síkon, majd Yoshi vízszintesen átadja a plázma frekvenciát Adennek a Földön, majd Aden átmegy a lótusz aktiválási folyamatán, első szakasz a fénytestben. Második szakasz a plázmatestén, majd a plázmateste bekapcsolódik. Majd a krisztalline kamrája megnyílik, majd a természet plázma képessége végül bekapcsolódik ezen a ponton. Fataele mint fordított plázma nem tudja bántani a természet plázmát, nem tudja bántani Adenté vagy a sötét virág Adenté többé, ezért kell Fatalenak az első lótusz aktiválási szakaszba kerülnie. Fataele általában a lótusz aktiválási szakasz első fázisában fog bejutni. Fataele elegyíti a fordított plázmasugarát, és sötét virág a lótuszba megakadályozza a lótusz aktiválását, megakadályozza a plázmatest aktiválódását, megakadályozza a plázma képesség bekapcsolását, megakadályozza a személyes krisztalline kamra megnyílását. Fataele megpróbálja megakadályozni Aden krisztalline kamrájának megnyílását a lótusz aktiválási szakasz első fázisában. Josi a születéskor megnyílt krisztavonal kamrával. Josi egyedül nem tudja a Fajsafeot a bolygóra hozni, így a Fajsafe soha nem fog bekövetkezni. Fatalenek nem sikerült a sötét virág Aden Phimet ebben az időségben. Aden ebben az időségben simán átment a lotus aktivationon, nem ébredt fel. Sötét virág a lotusban plázmateste sikeresen aktiválódott, krisztavonal kamrája sikeresen megnyílt, együtt 1.728.768. Josi Aden hozta a Fajsafe hostot a bolygóra 2012. december 21-én. Fataele sikeresen húzta azokat a bukott pajzsokat a hamis 333-as igazodásba 2009 óta, ami sikeresen ártott az 1.728.768 pajzs Ibolya csapatának. Ibolya pajzs a hamis 333-as igazodásba igazodott 2010. szeptember folyamán, ami sikeresen ártott az 1728 zöld csapatának. 768 pajzsot 2011-ben a hamis 333-as igazítással összehangolt zöld pajzs, de ez nem jelenti azt, hogy ezeknek a csapatoknak a sötét virág felébredt a lótuszukban. Ezek az 1.728.768 phimek már 2012. január 2-án megfelelően aktiválták a lótuszukat. Plázmafagyasztás 7 plázmaáram Aden KULC-sának átvitele. Ezért került sor a Fajsafera 2012. december 21-én. Fataele sikeresen húzta az Ibolya pajzsot és a zöld pajzsot a hamis 333-as igazodásba 2010-ben, 2011-ben, de később, 2012 után, miután sikeresen aktiváltuk a Fajsafe hostot, sikeresen kihúztuk a 2/3 pajzsot a 333-as igazodásból, 1/3 pajzsot még mindig a hamis 333-as igazodásban hagyva, mindezt a nomi ciklusok előtt. A nomi ciklusok 2016-2017-ben zajlottak a Fajsafe sikeres elindítása után, tehát azt hiszem, hogy mindezek az 1/3 pajzsok is meg fognak gyógyulni, de hogy hogyan fognak meggyógyulni, azt nem tudom. Talán a gyógyuláshoz át kell mennie a krisztikus űrporon, hogy meggyógyuljon, és függ a sötét virág telített szégétől is a szablomban. Ha a sötét virág 30%, akkor a sötét virág gyógyítható. Ha 30% sötét virág 70%, akkor a sötét virágot csak fenntartani lehet, azt hiszem. A fehér sárkány, a zöld sárkány, néhány Fataele ebbe az esetbe tartozik, ők a visszalépés útján vannak, ők az 1.728.768 pajzs zöld csapatától kapják a host frekvenciát, hogy igazodni tudjanak a visszalépés útján, nem kaphatják a host frekvenciát a kék-fehér pajzsból, az széttöri a szablonjukat. Ezért van szükség a visszalépő frekvenciára. Ha a sötét virág 70%, akkor a sötét virágot nem lehet rögzíteni vagy fenntartani, éppen csak idő kérdése, hogy elérje, hogy Fataele legyen. 98%, 100% sötét virág, de a plázma fagyasztás az Aden 2012. január 2-i kulcsadása alatt, ami már akkor megállította a sötét virág növekedését, így a sötét virág nem tudja elérni a 98%-ot vagy 100%-ot. Hogy Fataele legyen vörös sárkány, néhány Fataele ebben az esetben ők a krisztikus halálúton vannak, ők az első lila csapatból kapják a host frekvenciát. 728.768 pajzsból, hogy a krisztikus hullás útjához igazodhassanak, nem kaphatnak host frekvenciát a kék-fehér pajzsból, mert az széttöri a szablonjukat. Belső teremtés, átlós frekvencia, interfész a külső teremtéssel, függőleges, vízszintes frekvencia, sűrűség interfész a sűrűséggel, ez csak láthatatlanul van egymással egymás között. Pajzsként-E'Asha host kilépés a belső teremtésből 5 szintre lelépés ad 4 akvari, külső teremtés, aurora területek, majd lelépés ad 3-31 galaxisba, külső teremtés, aurora területek, majd lelépés ad 4 földre, majd lelépés ad 4 időmátrixunkba, D8 mintaka Orion, majd lelépés a D5 terő, majd a naprendszer solarendszer szán 8 Uránusz. Stb. Le a belső földig aztána. Földünk Kyutsitejára, csillagkapu, azért említettem, mert a Hostmaster Workshopban mindannyian újra tanultunk a csillagkapuról. Pajzs az emberek DNS-ébe van kódolva különböző helyen inkarnálódtak, amikor a DNS-ük aktiválódik, összekapcsolódnak egymással, ami hasonló a DNS kódolásukhoz, mind együtt egy képet alkotnak, amit pajzs konfigurációnak hívnak. A Crystalline Chamber pajzsnak 5 sűrűsége van, minden pajzsnak minden sűrűségen más-más konfigurációja van, különböző emberek állnak, az óramutató járásával megegyezően, az óramutató járásával ellentétesen, mindegyik egyet ölödn 5-ig együttesen létrehozzák a Crystalline Chamber Pajzsként-E'Asha host átjárót, a belső és a külső teremtés között. Minden pajzs konfigurációjához 1.728.768 PIM emberre van szükség, a személyes lótusz aktiválva marad, a plázmatest aktiválva marad, a személyes krisztavonalkamra megnyílik ahhoz, hogy megnyíljon egy nagy krisztavonalkamra a Földön, ami azt jelenti, hogy azok a PIM-ek nem ébrednek fel a sötét virággal a lótuszban, ami azt jelenti, hogy 1.728.768 PIM Yoshi. Joden inkarnálódott a Földön, akik Pajzsként-E'Asha host küldetést visznek. A fordító plázmasugár a Bourg-ha 8 mátrix középpontjában lévő bukott napból jött, kitört minőségi 2012. május 27-30 óta tört be az idővonalunkba, amikor Metatron elérte az 55. pörgést, megpróbálta a sötét virágot az egész bolygóra sugározni, levágta az Aquareion host karját, el akarta érni az 55,5 pörgést. Hogy az idővonalunkat a fordító plázma idővonalukba zárja, nem sikerült az idővonalunkat a fordító plázma idővonalukba zárni. Mert sikeresen frissítettünk 7 plázmaáramról 15 plázmaáramra, ami lehetővé tette számunkra, hogy 2012. április 9-én lehorgonyozzuk az Alhumpra pajzsot, bezártuk a Földet a természet plázma idővonalába, mielőtt a fordulás plázma idővonal levágta az Aquareion hostot és bezárta a Földet a fordulás plázma idővonalába a 2012. május 27-30-i esemény során. Alhumpra 2047-ig fogadja a Földet, amíg a D-távú kapu teljes megnyitására vár, és a D-távú kapurendszer már teljesen kinyílt, és 900 évig nyitva marad. Minden pajzs konfigurációja egy közös magpajzs, középső réteg pajzs, külső réteg pajzs. Magpajzs, amely a lángfutó szerződéssel rendelkezik, áll 12 PIM emberből, Yoshi Joden 6 iker PIM, Yoshi Joden első. Tantriaiha 2 iker második. Faunteiha ikrek 3, Teaiha ikrek negyedik. Fauntéeretvin 5. Teaiha eltvin 6, Fauntéere eltvin. Minden pajzs konfigurációjában 5 szintű pajzs, 5 magcsapat, 4 magcsapat, 3 magcsapat, 2 magcsapat, ezek az emberek. Felébrednek a szerződésükre, lótuszuk aktiválódik, plázmatestük aktiválódik, krisztallánykamrájuk megnyílik, plázma képességük bekapcsolódik. Közepes pajzs hordoz helytartó szerződés, a láng lehorgonyzása a magpajzsból 144 PIM emberből áll, Yoshi Joden mind a 144 PIM ember, a pajzs minden egyes sűrűségű konfigurációján van, ezek az emberek felébrednek a szerződésükre, a lótuszuk aktiválódik, a plázmatestük aktiválódik, a krisztallánykamrájuk megnyílik, a plázma képességük bekapcsolódik. A külső pajzs hordozza a második helyen lévő szerződés tulajdonosát, ezek a PIM-ek nem ébrednek fel, de a DNS-ük titkosítása még mindig a Pajzsként-E'Asha host frekvencián fut, a lótuszuk, plázmatestük, krisztalline kamrájuk szintén be lesz kapcsolva, még ha nem is tudnak róla. Mindannyian együtt 48 magpajzs ember és 720 helyőrző PIM ember és 1.728.000 második helyőrző PIM ember egy pajzsot alkotnak a Földön, amit Pajzsként-E'Asha hostnak hívnak. Mindannyiuknak sötét virág szabadon van, mindannyiuk plázmateste aktiválva van, krisztalinekamra megnyitva.
I think they said like 1,728,768, I think was the number of individuals that are actually commissioned on this shield, on the Aquafarian Tantriasia shield. That's a lot of people. And, you know, these are shields of basically encoded people that reside in a location, like on a planet, that each anchor specific, you know, geomancies of frequency from above. So there's going to be different missions within the larger mission. As this information was coming in, I'm going, okay, I get the shield concept. How many are there? We have 5, but 2 of them have the same people running them. So there's only 4 sets of core team people, right? And this is considered one shield. Not all of the shields have exactly the same configuration, but they do basically have a core and the middle section and the outer section of petals. All right, this is just showing the 3 pieces of that shield, and that one's on Reyes Island, and the other part is on Sanctuary Island, and the center part is the one that can go up and down on the Reyes center pillar and get energy from, you know, the highest levels of density 5 and God source consciousness field. So what we have here is, it's a plasma generator cell. It has at its center 3 pillars that are the 3 aminas. So we had the Aya, Aa, and the Aya, right? Then outside of that, there are 4 pillars that are the 4 amyanas, which together make the 7 bridges flow. So these are receiving stations for the plasma currents of the 7 bridges flow. Now, if it's on Sanctuary Island, it's receiving them directly from the 7 bridges flow, because Reyes Island would be up above that, but they'd be coming down through Reyes Island, and to reach lower densities would pass through Sanctuary Island's 3 temples that are the generator temples. There would be a set of 3 also on Sanctum Island, and a set on Salvage Island, and a set on Earth. And that's what we're in the process of activating. We're going to activate the set of 3 that go, the 3 span gates that link in directly to the Sanctuary Island one, which means they link into the whole stack of island temples. The Trinity shield of the Ray command, and that's the one that's the density 5, you know, command density 5 and density 4 of the deity planes of Cosmea. So that's the Trinity shield. It has 3 parts. It has this band, 3 aminas, and the 4 amyanas. And then going out from there, you know, that's the 7 bridges. Then you have these 12 petal currents that are actually currents that get sent out on the horizontal, and they, you know, go out and energize the field there, the reality field there. So this is part of a configuration of what these temples look like from within, as far as what their dynamic is, how they work. It's through the expansion and the contraction of the Horus and the Reyes of that Eye of God cell at the center of these temples that they generate sparks, and then they'll send a backflow up to Source, and then Source will send a backflow down, you know, backflow return down, and same, they'll generate quantum by squeezing together and moving apart, and friction, I guess you'd call that. And then they would send a spark down to the Aurora Earth shield, which is down density 1, and that would send a backflow return spark up. So there's circulation temples, they're broadcast networks as well, where the petals can send and receive energy. The petals can drink energy horizontally, or they can put themselves up and drink vertically from the frequency spectra that's in the area. So these are literally living plasma generators. They are made of plasma themselves. Now, this part of this Trinity shield, so up there you have the Reyes Amina shield. That one is located, I believe, on Reyes Island, the generator cell. Then coming out from there, you have the Christ-Asia Christ-Star shield. This one carries the coding for the first eternal 144 plasma currents. So that would be like the elemental currents for the deity planes would be, it's in the Alaria Rashatan configuration. Its location is also on Reyes Island. That's on Aquiline Sun 1 density 5D planes, and it connects into density 4 White Sun 2 density 4D planes. So it has an upspan to the Aquiline Sun. Sun Reyes Island has an upspan to the Aquiline Sun and a downspan to density 4. So this is called the Aquasia shield. This one's located on Sanctuary Island. So you have this part on Sanctuary Island, that part on Reyes Island, and that part on Reyes Island, but being able to go all the way up into density 5 and up into God's source consciousness field. So you have this setup where the Reyes can go up, draw in frequency, bring that frequency back down, and that frequency helps to generate more frequency in the temple itself, and then it will send a down current down. So it's these up and down currents that are the beginning of opening what's called the Christ Star chamber to the Christ Star from which we come, which means we had to come through the Aquiline Sun in order to get into this Cosmea. So that kind of applies to all of us as far as the Aquiline Sun goes. And it's the up and down currents. That's part of the activations of the vows, it's part of what, especially for Aidens who are born without that activated, where that open connection in Yoshi would be activated. And, the Aidens would have to bring the frequencies in horizontally and, getting them from the Yoshi in order to trigger the activation of the part of his anatomy that would allow that to open. It's not that it isn't there, it's just not open because the frequencies are not running until it's time for, him to bring the rest of himself in when his contract activates, where it can slowly, open and step in. So these processes that are with the plasma generator temples, they're also very connected to the processes that will take place in our own bodies with our own systems that work in a similar way. It's just like the white blue team shield, and that's like the core shield that controls the others. So the other shields would kind of span out from there, the density 3 and then the density 2 and the density 1. And then there's another shield at the bottom, I think the density 1 Aurora shield is also under Ray command. So they hold the top and the bottom so they can hold the ascension pillar and the gate structure more firm than the others could, because they hold all of the coding. So they can wrap all of those frequencies into the strength of the pillar, where the other density shields would only be able to access whatever was in their density range. So it's not that they're elitist or anything, but the Ray command holds those codes for the Aquiline Sun, which is what everybody birthed through. So it holds the codes for everyone. So they are the main control shield, because they're a fail-safe, where if something happens with one of the other shields, they can correct it or assist in helping it not to fall, because they have the codes that connect to it. Whereas, say, the Green Sun shield wouldn't be able to directly fix the Blue Sun or the Aquiline Sun shield, because the Aquiline Sun is bigger, it has more codes than the Green Sun does, and it has more quantum. So it's the big sun that has all of the codes and most of the quantum, and holds the big gate that all the other spans work on. So it's about equal in value, but different in quantum and in abilities. And that's kind of like people too. Everybody's beloved. Everybody came from the same source, but we're all very different. Some people are good at this, some are good at that, and it's the same thing with the gates and with the command councils, the elemental command councils. So it's not that one's better than the other. It's not a pecking order in that way. It's just respecting who's doing what job in the team that we're supposed to be, because it's supposed to be teamwork. So it's not that, the shields go off and don't talk to each other or whatever, because then you'd have the rays on the top and on the bottom and not a lot happening in the middle. So it wouldn't really work as a host. So it's meant to be a very large host with a lot of people that have a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, that understand the teamwork aspect, as opposed to not looking at it in a competitive way, because it's not, who's better, who gets to sit in the center, who gets to do that or whatever. It's teamwork, right?
Oh, here goes fun. Okay, now, this is just to show petal line relationships of the Tantriasia plasma generator gate shields. This is just to show that there is, because we have 5 actually of these shields that go from the Reyes Island area all the way down to Earth here and into the Aurora shield, which is between the orb reservoir at Earth's core and Aurora Earth itself. So there's 5 different shields. We have the one that is the Ray Command. That's the Trinity shield on top. And then we have the Aurora shield that's also under Ray Command, but it has lots of other people in it, but the core team is still Ray Command on the Aurora shield. But then you have the Green Sun's shield for density 3, and you have the Violet Sun's shield for density 2. So they have different configurations as far as the petal alignments. There are certain alignments that have to do with the 10-4 axis and the 7-1 axis, and this just has to do with how the center cell does its phasing and firing when it gets sent out on the 2 axes, and then they phase together, and then it actually sends out on the 7 line. That's its spark line. So there's a reason why there's different numbers in different places, and when you're doing alignments and those kind of things that you're aware of what level of the shield is doing what numbers. Certain ones are more important than others when it comes to running shield. With each of the shields, regardless of what density level it's on or what sun color it's on, it will have the core center bud where it has the minas. It'll be the aminas if it's the Ray Command, but the other ones have different prefixes in front of the mina word. And it will have the 2 in the center that actually anchor the 3rd standing wave of Aya, and become the 2 become 3 become 1 kind of thing. Then you will have the 4 other positions, which together make the 7 bridges. So each one of those would anchor one of the 7 bridges. There's different positions as far as knowing how to run a plasma generator Lotus configuration as a Shadra. There are specific placements for specific people. When it comes to the Tantriasia couple, when it comes to the Fantriasia couple, and then you have the Tejas and the Fantri and the Teja L and the Fantri L. Each shield has a core group of 12. The inner core will be the 6. There's actually 6 people there, and that other 1 is the Aya flame anchoring. And then there are 6 positions on the outer. And this is one of the things that was making me nuts, trying to bring this through. I'm going, wait a minute, who's on what pedal? As far as, how do you lay out this stand? And it took a while for them to show me. It's because some of the ones from in here, they have like double coating where they're actually running 2 positions simultaneously, but their body's only standing in one. So that made it a little more confusing, of course. So I just wanted to show you here. This one is the counterclockwise core and outer. So that means the middle would be clockwise. And that would be a base magnetic one. So that would be a female shield. That doesn't mean it's all girls in it. It just means that it would be running the magnetics, and that would be spiraling more energy up and out back to source than it would be bringing energy in. And some of them, some of the density shields are the opposite, where they have the electrical on the outside and the core, and then they have the magnetic in the middle. And it just shows the number alignments are different, whether you number it going clockwise or counterclockwise. So they just wanted us to know that there is the difference there, and that there is the magnetic, electrical, magnetic thing happening with it, where you won't have electrical, or anything like that. So these are just to show the basics. So the 12 core command flame runners and 144 primary placeholders, which means 12 on each of the outer petals. So it's like lines of people that would be on the petals. And you'd have your 12, and then you'd have each petal having a line of 12. And that would be considered the core command, where these shields actually, like as they reach out through the planet, you know, the configuration of them, there are, I forget how many are on each, 144,000 I think is on each shield or something like that, where you end up with that times 12 and it gives you the 1,017,28,768 something when you add them all up together. Okay, next one. Sorry. Tantric and Fontic Tantra-Asia Shield Commissions. Okay, so this is a little bit that we learned in Sliders 11 about Tantrics and Fontics. We learned that the Fontesia are they're more electrical, outward moving, expanding, electrifying. We learned that the Tantra-Asia are the blenders, these are the menders, and then there are the blenders that are more magnetic. They're more inward moving, contracting, magnetizing. And they work together in the shield in teams. So one shield's core command would be made up of 6 twin sets, which means 12 people. So we have one shield would contain one Tantra-Asia twin set, and they would be the ones at the center that do the 2 become 3 become 1. And then the next, actually, as far as the step down goes, would be the Fontesia twin set. And there'll be one Fontesia twin set. And then the next one, step down, would be the Teja twin set. And then the next step down would be the Fon-Tree twin set. And then the Teja L twin set. And then the Fon-Tree L twin set. Right? And we have 5 shields, but 2 of them have the same core team, so it's 4 shields. 4 times 12, so there's 48 core team members as far as holding the positions of the 7 bridges and that. But again, each shield has the 144 primary placeholders, where you have the pedal lines holds 12 on each pedal, so there'd be 12 people on each pedal. And the core command flame runners, so they call the people that are on those positions the placeholders, which means you are anchoring flame and you're anchoring pillar, but there's a circulation thing that happens with flame runners, and flame runners have to have some of these codes in order to not just anchor and hold, but to actually circulate the frequency, and to do it at a quantum exponential by connecting with their twin. In a way that just a person standing there anchoring a pillar is not doing, where you're amplifying the energy, because imagine your central vertical column getting really, really big when your Christ star line opens, right? And then imagine that coming through you, but instead of just going up and down, it angles over and it goes up through your twin, and it goes back up to the Christ star through your twin, and vice versa. There's some very interesting flows that occur with that. The power of them is much larger than one body itself could hold. So the core team ones are and especially the core 6, and also the others. They're all twin sets that have the ability to some degree blend, and also do the mending thing, which is sending a frequency out horizontally. It's kind of like spreading frequency. Both can do that, but some of the Fontesia are better at where you have the Tantra-Asia anchoring, pulling it down vertically or sending it up and down, and then you have the Fontesias spreading it out. Both can do both, but the Fontesia are a bit better at spreading it, where the Tantrics are better at pulling it up and down. So it's just difference in the coding that allows the frequencies to run in specific ways, and they're meant to run as a team, where certain things are needed to make a shield work and make a gate open. And those configurations are figured into the math, and the commissions were decided way before you were born into the life you're in. You came in to do that. So whatever your life was, in some sort of way it was built around knowing that was there, even if you had no clue ever that anything such a thing even existed, right? So they're very specifically I think they're nominated positions, actually, when you get up to the suns and in councils and stuff, where there's certain building up to the experience of, like, say, before you're a tantric, I know you have to go through a fontic cycle, and you probably have to do stuff before you get there, too. And just to be a tantric means that you obviously have, even if you don't remember, gone through those trainings where you were able to hold and progressively build what you could hold frequency-wise before you could come in, holding a tantric contract or something like that. So I don't remember any of my training on that regard at all. I didn't even remember the whole tantric thing existed until they woke me up. So if you don't remember, don't worry about it. I don't either. But that's how it does work. We do come in with these commissions. Now, this is an interesting configuration. We're going to look at what happens, what is actually happening with the energy, even if we're standing still. There are things, they call them the pedal dances, that I've seen a few up on Sanctuary Island that are quite amazing, actually, where you'll have 144 people, and then, of course, the center pair, and the center 7, really, or 6 plus source. And they'll move in together and expand and contract, and they'll do the, like, raising the pedals up, putting them down. I mean, they really consciously direct the frequencies, with their bodies. You can also, your body will do the same thing. Your plasma body will do it. Even if your body is standing still, it will go into there's a couple of places where there's rotations and folds, because what it's about is to, first of all, to open a gate on the planet requires that you bring a bunch of quantum that was set into the shield, into the core of the shield, to begin the process of the shield core sparking, where it starts to send frequency up and down, and then gets backflow return, which it can then amplify and send up and down. That begins the process of the breathing that we'd read about on the other sheet. And once it starts to breathing, the circulation is open, the upflows and the downflows. And once they're open, then you can get the arc flows and all sorts of other flows that come in, and more frequency can come in. So what occurs, this is just looking at it opened. We have I've abbreviated these. The TTJs are the Tantriasias, and they're the ones that go in the center. And the next ones, which are the Fantasias, I abbreviated those as FTJs, right? Now, they go right here. They hold the vertical pillar positions, okay, but only 2, because the Tejas hold the horizontals, right? So the Tejas are the TAJs, right? So Tejas and Fantasias and Tantriasias. And then these positions here, they also say Fantasia or Fantasia. I can't get tongue twisted with these words sometimes. But it's the same ones as these. And it doesn't mean they have to be in 2 positions at once, nor does it mean that they have to move to those positions. It means by standing in their core configuration, their bodies will also be doing that. And I wouldn't doubt if they're stretching their plasma bodies back and putting them in those positions. When it comes to if you have more than one density shield that's being run at a time and they're being run together, where you're going to have too many people in the center. It needs just the 2 people to anchor, the third source energy. Then there would be backup positions for the aminas, right? Amina 2 would go here. If it wasn't the blue, the Reyes shield would always be the center shield. So the other core shields would need to defer to the core shield of the Reyes, because they're the ones that can reach the highest to bring in the highest frequency to density 5. So they would, if they were running their own shield without being in the shield with the Reyes, they would take their center position. But if not, they would take the outer positions that they're designated for. So the center position would still be held by the Reyes that could bring in the frequency direct from density 5 and down through God source. So there's a folding process that happens with this, and just by standing there and having your plasma body and your lotus anatomy and your fields activated, if you can remember, I don't have the mylar up right now, when we looked at the lotus temples, how there was that braid of energy going down underneath the 4 little pods. Well, that's what's happening with your own currents. Once your lotus anatomy is turned on, you would have that same Reyes Amina braid coming down through you, and it would be coming down, through your head this way and coming down that way. And if you were in a Tantriasia or a Fantic contract, you would have part of it arcing over and going through each other and back up again, and part coming down and going down. It's interesting. So you would have that braiding effect, and you wouldn't just have the small central vertical column that people that don't have the systems activated. You would have literally that big, almost like it's like a feeder root for the big flowers, the lotuses that are inside of you. So everybody would be a pillar that was spiraling that energy down and then drawing other energy up. and sending it, up to God's source, almost as if you had we actually do have a lotus on top of your head that has a reyes that does go up and grab frequency from the density above and brings it back in. So we're going to look at the anatomy of some of the anatomy of the physicality too that goes with this. But this is the basic shield configuration where you'd have your Tantriasia twin set at the center. Then you'd have your Fantisia twin set there. Then you'd have your Tasia twin set there. Next, on the middle circle, you would have the Fantri set. And then you would have, and this is the second positions, these are just secondary positions for these guys, right? So you wouldn't have anybody there, but those petals would be doing their thing that you'll see in a minute because these guys are here and they're running both sets. So they're running the core and they're running the middle on that particular line. These out here, these are the TTJs again, which is the ones that are in the center. They control these folds as well. It doesn't mean they have to move from the center, but their biofields will direct those energies as well. So we'll see on the other pages what it looks like to bring the energy to the core, because the purpose of running the shields is to first of all get them where they're breathing. And breathing means first you have to open the lines and the flows, and then you have to energize them enough where they have enough momentum to kind of kick over on their own, where they'll go for perpetual motion with just a little bit of top up energy kick every once in a while, once they're fully activated and are breathing properly, basically. Okay, let's see if there's anything down here. Let's see, there are 5. Yeah. Oh, here's the numbers down here. This is interesting. Yeah, there are 5 Tantriasia density shields. So one of those is called a Tantriasia density shield. In the Crystal River host, total shield members, you have 48 core command flame runners, and that's 12 times 4 density shields, because density 5 and density 1 core command commissions are held by the same individuals. There are 720 primary placeholders, and there's 1,728,000 secondary placeholders. Total of 1,728,768 shield commissions. That's a lot of people. That's in all of them, though. That's in the 5 of them. So it's not in everyone. That's pretty good amount of people. I was surprised that there was that many on commission. And that doesn't mean people that are going to host out through the shield. That means the people who are hired to drive the bus, basically, where we came in to drive the bus and not just be a passenger on the bus. So I wonder, they haven't said anything about what kind of quantum can that many bus drivers pull home, as far as getting people out gates and things. So there's still a lot to learn, but the basic shield configuration, if we were going to do a stand on the ground, it would be in that configuration, and we would have 12 people coming out on each of the petals. Okay, next one, please.